Welcome into Getting Help from Uncle Sam. About a month ago, the legislature came out of session and the 2021 session came to an end. Many times people have looked to say, what were the things that passed? More importantly, what were things that didn't pass? And we probably want to know why they didn't pass. I have with me Representative Mike Holmes, 7 years sitting in that seat up there, buddy. But
Right.
again, this is, next session will be your swan song.
It will.
That's well, and you've done a great job. I want to say this. You've been my representative, and then you haven't been my representative. But in each case, you're very accessible to your people, and I think that's important.
I think it is too. I think you have to be available to truly represent the people, and that's what our job is. We're the contact for our voters, our constituents. So I think it's very important.
Okay, in this last session that just ended a short time ago, a couple of things I think top of the mind for a lot of people. I think a lot of representatives are going home saying, my people are going to beat me up because we still don't have a lottery. But it's not just about a lottery, is it?
Well, this time it wasn't, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole conglomeration of things under the heading of gambling.
Right.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the session, we had one gambling bill that had been introduced, and that was Senator Jim McClendon had a straight-up lottery.
Right.
Very simple. The money was divided equally between the revenue divided equally between the general fund and the education trust fund. No big new bureaucracy to run it, just tying in with a professional group that's already in business in Georgia or Florida, one or the other.
Right.
And clean, and that one was kicked aside in the first week of the session with a monster bill that had so many moving parts that nobody could understand it.
Yeah.
Particularly in the House, we got the bill on a Friday, Thursday afternoon. The Senate passed it, and they sent it down to us, but it didn't really land anywhere until about noon on Friday. So it was distribution, getting it out, because it was going to be on our agenda the following week. We knew that, and it was a big bill. I mean, it was like 140 pages.
That was near the end of your.
No, it was right in the middle.
In the middle.
We had some time, but
okay.
The squabbling started there. Everybody in the House started realizing how complex this is, how dangerous it could be, creating the possibility of monopolies with certain players that are already in the business.
Right.
That's not capitalistic. That's not free market kind of government. We need free markets, and it didn't provide that. It provided for special people. Only certain people could bid on those licenses. But more than that, it created another monster bureaucracy to run it within the state, and a full board, controlling board, and then administration to go with that to actually enforce the law was going to be massive. And the fiscal notes couldn't tell us how much. We had no real accurate fiscal notes to know how much is this going to cost us and how much revenue are we going to have to give up to do that. We never really got any good answers to that. So we went into our debate and focusing on a vote, actually underinformed about what we were getting into. We saw enough danger signals in there that we realized it was going to be very difficult to pass. And it was a constitutional amendment, so that meant we had to have a supermajority. We needed 63 votes in the House to pass it. And as we got down to the end, we'd argued over it. The leadership could not get that put together, and that included the governor's office and the minority caucus and the majority caucus in the House, all in 3 different rooms negotiating around the clock almost for about 10 days. And they kept telling us they got it. We bringing it the next session day, and we wound up on the last day. They still didn't have the votes, and that's what happened in that fiasco. And the night the clock ran out, when it was on the agenda and supposed to be brought up next, and they didn't have the votes, so they just carried it over. And that was the end of it. I mean, once they carried it over, their idea was to let's just go back to Jim McClendon's bill and pass a straight lottery. Then the 3 different parties couldn't agree on that even. So
yes.
we never got a chance to vote on that.
Yeah, and and basically when you're looking at it, gambling is kind of it's a monster. It's growing.
This plan was especially a monster.
Yeah, I mean, of course, just the bill, but I'm just saying there's so many different types of gambling out there right now that we really need to get a handle on it.
Sports betting, table games, all these things are new.
Lottery is just one little piece.
Yep.
But at the same time, for the majority, I think, of our constituents in the state, the majority of our citizens, top of the mind, that's gambling. That's the gambling thing, it's the lottery.
And it's not simple. You're very correct about that.
Right.
This is complex and huge.
Yep.
You whole huge new entity in the state of
And it
Alabama.
needs to be treated right. You
It
know,
does.
just do the things that need to be done.
If this bill as structured, I assure you, if it passed 10 years from now, your citizens, my citizens, and I and you would not recognize Alabama. We'd have a whole new government system controlled by this monopoly. So the whole thing is just very frightening.
Well, listen, thank you for what you have done and what you're doing and how you're serving your constituents in Elmore County. And more importantly, it's for the state also. Before you get out of office officially, we're going to have you back to talk more.
I appreciate that, Jack.
Okay.
It's always a pleasure.
And just remember, this is for your information. You need to be able to reach your representatives with your thoughts, and we'll be right back right after this.